Some of the tactics and techniques that we played with and worked with, like if I put them on the internet, people would be like, "You're out of your mind." But you know what? There's one thing that we came to conclusion, and there's only one rule, and it's win.
Or whatever, coming from a random angle, and you're just like,
And when you're by yourself, man, it ain't CQB anymore.
Yeah.
You know, there's no points of domination and clearing sectors. It's just do the best you can. And at the time, there wasn't a lot of singleton CQB. You know, we were still the whole in that idea. How many people does it take to clear a room? 2. Okay, cool. What if you only got 1?
mm-hmm.
Well, so like I said, this instance was not the only instance that a singleton or a pair of dudes got in a tick. And it did kind of raise our awareness that, hey, man, we need to start training this and think about it. How can you do close fighting by yourself?
Was that more SAD specific, or did that even extend into?
So it was all happening kind of in parallel. Like, in some of their training, GRS was already doing it, and they didn't really know they were doing it, or at least not it. So a very common thing in GRS would be your principal's in a meeting room, the 2 GRS guys are outside, principal calls for help, 1 dude goes in, 1 dude stays with the car. So he's by himself. He's going to go in and recover. So there was some...
But it's kind of
there
like
was some demand for that type
versus-
of training, but it wasn't structured for like the singleton, rec A operator type person.
mission gone wrong. We got to
Right,
maneuver out.
It wasn't structured. So we started training it.
Mm-hmm.
Using sims, playing with it. We tried all kinds of stuff too, like some of it was kind of John Wicky, for lack of better terms, like, one-handed stuff, a lot of point blank stuff, and basically our conclusion was it's still like regular CQB. You still have to clear your corners as you go through. You don't go to a point of domination. You go wherever you think is best. And so like in CQB, you hear guys say like, oh, this is a thinking man's game. Now, when you're by yourself, it's a lot of thinking, but it's knowing when to get on the speed. Because we even tried like, all right, we're going to put a bad guy in that room and I'm just going to sprint through the room. You know what I mean? Like we tried all kinds of silly stuff. It's funny, like if you go back and I know 2 plank owners of the unit or Delta. And I was sitting with those guys one time chatting, and they're both, in their mid-70s now. They literally were, well, one was in the first selection in 1977, I think. It was 1977. The other one was in 78. So they were original unit members, right? And they were telling me about stuff they tried with CQB. Like one of them was talking about how like they would put a dude with a shotgun in front of the door and he'd like take a knee. And they would breach the door. And if there was anything in there, he's got a shotgun, right? Just, because... they were learning. So, not to say we went through like that extent of that turned into POD and all that type of CQB, but we did. We practiced it. And we put it in the shoot house. We put it with sim guns, so we could prove it, not just it be a theory. Like, hey, does this work when we're shooting at each other? And, basically the conclusion is when it comes to singleton CQB is it's shit. It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
However, right? Who rolls around all the time by themselves that might have to run in a building with a gun? Police officers. So that's been kind of a cool thing is over the years, I've been able to share it with a lot of those guys.
Oh, shit.
And, because like, let's face it, man, it'd be great to have the SWAT team show up. But when you're in your cruiser and you're the first responder, right, you may find yourself doing CQB by yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You go up to a door, knock on the door, and you hear screams. It's a domestic, right? Well, you're going in. You're going to wait for backup? I mean, well, maybe for that one cop that didn't go in on that school shooting, right? Hey, man, not everybody's cut out for gun-toting work,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that whole story sucked. But
the cop thing's a very interesting point, though, too, because like the
they're
other
by
part
themselves.
of it, people don't like. I've noticed this a lot, especially at high-level sports. When you play someone worse than you, they're harder to play than someone that is also good because they just do weird
random shit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
yeah,
so,
that's a good point. Yeah, same
like,
shit.
It's kind of a mix on both. Solo CQB, you guys are operating a bit different, and that allows you to have a little bit of an advantage because they're thinking like, oh, they're going to bust in this way, and you come out that. But then also you guys working through it, especially for a cop, it's like now they can actually go through some right steps that no matter what that person's doing, they're prepared versus if they go that traditional training and the guy's, laying in the prone position for some reason, staring at the door. It's like, you're not going to be prepared for that. You're just doing normal. And it's,
some of the tactics and techniques that we played with and worked with, like if I put them on the internet, people would be like, you're out of your mind. But you know what? There's one thing that we came to conclusion, and there's only one rule, and it's win. So I don't care if you do a cartwheel, lethal weapon roll, freaking, whatever. If you get rounds on your threat and you go home, then you know what? Your techniques were at least good enough for that day. And that was a little bit of that realization is, and I had already kind of knew that a little bit because there's CQB and then there's sometimes when you break the rules of CQB to survive. That's another misconception. A lot of, tack Timmies out there, who've done perfect CQB in a shoot house. It's not always perfect, Can you shoot through a wall? Well, the bad guy can shoot through a wall, so can you. He's like, well, you didn't PID your target. Well, I mean, if there's bullets coming through that wall, I'm fairly certain whoever's sending them my direction, right? I'm in bad guy land, right? I'm not a cop. I know that if I go into a target, what's going on? It's not like I randomly kicked in a door, right? I know that bad guys are on site. So yeah, there's sometimes you do some wonky shit. And it ain't wrong if you win, if I was here to tell you that, I had my sights on target every time I ever pulled the trigger, I'd be lying. I have stuck my gun in a doorway and fired into the corner because I saw a dude run that direction. And instead of expose myself to him, I went click, click. Oddly enough, out of like 12 rounds, I only hit him with one. And not a lethal shot, but I changed his behavior. And like I said, man, freaking, a lot of people don't want to talk about that because it's bullshit. You would never do that. And I'm like,
war is crazy.
You might not never do that, but I have done